if you are in a managerial position and you notice something going wrong, okay? You notice like somebody, let's say somebody returns a project to a customer and the email is rude with misspellings and says crazy things, right? There's two things you should immediately think. Two things. One is whatever you saw that you weren't supposed to, it's going on 20 times as much behind your back. Like that is the immediate thing that you should think. And the second thing that you should think is you don't have a training process. You don't have some way to make sure that this kind of thing is getting down to your team, that getting across to your team that this is not the way we conduct ourselves or this is not correct. When you're in a leadership position, your behavior never goes unnoticed. Management, if you want to succeed in management, it's a 24/7 job. It never stops. People are always looking for you for cues on what is professional and what is appropriate behavior. I'm not saying not have fun with your colleagues, maybe, and if it's an appropriate situation, go out and have a couple drinks or whatever you want to do in the confines of good professional business. But just remember, as in a managerial situation, and in the social events like the ones you're experiencing in the last couple of days, your behavior does not go unnoticed as a manager. And people are making the subliminal determination of whether they're going to buy into your program or not, right? So next slide, please. So I actually think there's no other kind of leadership other than leadership by example, right? So I never ask somebody to do, I guess this is 99% true. I never ask somebody to do something I won't do myself. I've done almost all the jobs in the company. I haven't done I'm not a software coder. Some of the high-level accounting jobs I haven't done, but all the other jobs I've done. So it gives me a very interesting perspective as CEO to coach people through things. So if you are the manager, I would challenge you. Let's say that you're a sales manager, I would not have a situation where you're like, okay, you guys do the cold calls and I'll take the meetings, right? I would challenge you to take some period of the day and whatever you're asking people to do that task with them. I don't care if it's 1 hour a week, 2 hours a week. Don't have a complete segregation of tasks and don't ask people to do things that you won't do yourself. Okay, next slide. Do you know the answer to this one? The only thing that makes people mad in life. Yes, when things don't go the way they expect them, right? So I like to gamble, right? And if I went down to this casino, anybody know there's a casino in this town? If I went down there and I played blackjack and I got cheated, I'd be really pissed off, right? I went in there, and why is that? Because I expected a fair game. I didn't expect the shoe to be rigged at the blackjack table, right? But if I walked in there and there were neon signs that said, "This is the world's dirtiest casino. Don't expect to leave here with any money. We cheat our customers." Well, then if I walk in there, then I know what I'm getting, right? So I would challenge you to think about this in work, in your personal life. Like the only thing that makes people really upset is when you've created an expectation and that expectation goes unmet, right? So it's a really important concept. You can almost boil down anytime you were mad at anything in life to this. It's because you expected A and what happened was B. Okay. Next slide. All right. So. Deviant behavior tends to expand. So there's this thing in management where we think we're doing somebody a favor when they do something wrong by not saying something. Anybody ever felt like that? No? Like, if somebody is doing something wrong, right? Let's say they come into work and they're a few minutes late and it's their first day, right? Before the pandemic. So let's say, but somebody comes into work and you like to start your work at 9, and the person is coming, person's coming in, they're a new guy on the team, and they're coming in at 10 after 9, and you just think to yourself, well, they're going to see us all coming in and they're going to get it, right? And then they start coming in, they come in at 9:20, and you're like, that's funny, but you don't say anything to them because you're thinking they're going to get it or understand how the team works. Then they start coming in at 10, and you haven't said anything to them, and then it blows up on you, and then you're just like, you got to do something about it. You let a problem snowball. And I would challenge you that the easiest time to deal with a problem is right when that problem happens. It's never going to get easier, right? So if it's important to you, if you're running a division, a support division, and someone needs to be there by 9 o'clock and ready to go, I might say something like, look, I'm going to show you my age with these examples. Michael Jordan, if the tip-off at 8 o'clock on the Bulls game, on the basketball game, is at 8 o'clock, he's out there at 7:30, he's taking shots. He's not just showing up there at 8 o'clock. So if it was really important that somebody be there at a certain time, I would say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to get here early and get ready for our day, right? Like Michael Jordan would. Michael Jordan doesn't show up at 8 o'clock if tip-up is 8 o'clock. That is such an easy conversation to have when maybe you should take an earlier train or this or that. Like those are easy, and you can extrapolate this out to much more complex examples. But the easiest time to deal with a problem is right at the very beginning, right? It will never get easier. If you let it fester, it's just going to get harder to deal with. So if you are in a managerial position and you notice something going wrong, okay? You notice like let's say somebody returns a project to a customer and the email is rude with misspellings and says crazy things, right? There's two things you should immediately think. Two things. One is whatever you saw that you weren't supposed to, it's going on 20 times as much behind your back. Like that is the immediate thing that you should think. And the second thing that you should think is you don't have a training process. You don't have some way to make sure that this kind of thing is getting down to your team, that getting across to your team that this is not the way we conduct ourselves or this is not correct. Okay? So it's always the tip of the iceberg thing. In a managerial role, if you happen to see something go wrong, immediately think it's going wrong 20 more times that I'm not seeing. So, next slide. Back up. Okay, so this one sounds really mean, right? I'm going to give you like another perspective. Well, who here has fired somebody? Wow. So I used to, as we were kind of growing up as a young company, it's a big deal to fire somebody. I used to when someone did it for the first time, I used to take them out for a drink. Not sure what's appropriate today, but it's a big deal. It's a really big deal, especially to do this for the first time. I remember the first time I did it, I was 22 years old, and we were doing mass mailers, like actual letters. And every time this person would do the letters, they would forget to put the stamps on them or something, and we were destroying just tons of paper. And it was and I let this person go. I had butterflies in my stomach. It was like breaking up with somebody. It was like, oh my God, this is like such a big thing I'd built up in my mind. Here's what I would say, right? You're taking it on the first slide. I said take a personal invested interest in that person's success. So you should try everything to make that person successful. But I'm going to give you another way to look at this. Once you've tried everything and you actually make that determination, please don't keep someone in the role because you're busy. It's incredibly selfish, right? It's a really busy department. I know it's hard. It's going to be hard on your team members. But what are you doing when you keep somebody in a role that you know they're not going to succeed? How selfish is that? You are wasting your own time because somebody could be sitting next to you who's going to learn from you and going to be the next generation of your department. You're wasting that person's time because they need to move on to another career that they're better suited for, right? It's just a losing proposition all the way around. So I'm telling you, try to make it work. Have corrective action meetings, communicate what your issues are. But when you make the determination that someone is not right on your team or for your role, maybe in certain cases, without exporting problems to other managers, maybe there's another role for them in the company that's better suited to them. But do not, it's super selfish and it does not help the person, it does not help you. Do not keep somebody in a role because you're busy. I have a phrase on this, which is you're trading tomorrow you're making today a little easier to destroy your tomorrow.